Welcome back to our podcast, Culture Shock Therapy, where we get into a whole lot of therapy for all of the culture shocks we experienced as third culture kids. We are your hosts. I'm Shauna. This is my sister Tessa. And today we will be deep diving into the wonderful topic of goodbyes and how we dealt with all of that growing
how it
up.
affected us.
Yeah, moving around. So stay tuned if you want to dive in with us. Cheers.
And as we said in the last two episodes, I want to start with checking in. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm on vacation now. Well, I'm not on vacation, but I have time off work. So it's like a little mini vacation at home. We're just, really excited about all of this podcast stuff we're doing and branching out and trying to make it a little bit better each time.
Yep.
Learning from our past mistake, like the episode where we forgot to turn our microphones on.
No. We had them on. We just
it
didn't.
We forgot to mic check.
Them.
But I'm doing good. Lots of fun plans for this week. How are you?
I'm doing better than I was in the last recording where I was pretty tired. Bo's sleeping again, so that's just so amazing.
Such a relief.
Yeah. Yesterday we had a public holiday, which is really nice. I only worked one day this week.
That's really nice.
And also just really excited about the podcast. We're finally posting more on Instagram and we're launching in just 3 weeks, even though by the time you listen to this, we've already launched. But
Which
right
is
now,
so exciting.
We're buzzing with the excitement, trying to get as many people as possible there.
Yeah.
So,
just really trying to connect and build the TCK community online. And these steps we've taken the past week or so. With posting our little snippets and announcing what we're doing. It's been really nerve-wracking but really exciting, and we're loving seeing everybody's reactions to it and the excitement that it brings. Did you just spill your coffee?
I don't know what you're talking about. Nope.
All right. Well, goodbyes. I guess we're just gonna
dive right into
it. Goodbyes are something that we as TCKs are all too familiar with. Whether it was once a year, once every few months, or maybe even several years in between, it's something you were confronted with if you grew up outside of your passport country and having to move around or back to your passport country. So
and I think it's also something that TCKs have kind of gotten immune to. I think that every third culture kid has their own way of dealing with goodbyes so that it doesn't break them every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we experienced that really differently and we dealt with it really differently. So I'm really curious what your technique is, what you noticed within yourself whenever you had to say goodbye. And also, I think now looking back, how you dealt with goodbyes.
Yeah.
Was it healthy? Was it not healthy? What would you want to do differently? There's a plethora of questions there. Sorry.
I mean, healthy. Probably not, but I mean, we got through it in the ways that we got through it. We're also just genuinely curious if you've been through this, what your experience was and how you dealt with it. But for now, we'll be getting into how we got along with it. So, I guess looking back, because I haven't had to really deal with this for a little while, I mean, as we kind of covered in our first episode, we've been living in the same country, in our home country, for about 8 years now. So it's not really been as big a part of our lives as it used to be. But it started out with saying goodbye like every year. And knowing always that was coming. I think we always kind of knew and felt and were expecting end of the school year meant saying goodbye to all of the kids that we got to know and the friends that we made, and having to, I guess it felt like, leave them behind, and having to be open to making new friends where we were, which I think is something that came eventually quite naturally, but it didn't take away from always being uprooted and having to leave your friends behind. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think the first 6 years of our lives, it was a given that you were going to have to say goodbye again. You didn't really think much about it because that's just how it was. We had never experienced that long-term connection with people. And I think Dubai was the first time that goodbyes became hard.
Ooh, yeah, that was painful.
And you're also getting in the age where, I mean, you feel things and you don't always know how to deal with them. And what I noticed for myself, I was so sad, and I just didn't know what to do with it.
Mhm.
I think I cried so long. Also, after we had moved to Singapore, I think I cried for months still because
Yeah?
I was just sad that we weren't living in Dubai. Um, and I always experience things very intensely. I feel like my emotions are too big for what I'm experiencing. And especially as a kid, I had no idea how to deal with that. Um, and I hate goodbyes.
Yeah.
Like, they tear me apart. I hate thinking about them. So eventually, my coping mechanism became telling people I'll see you later.
Hmm.
The last few weeks in Singapore where we were saying goodbye to everybody, I never actually said goodbye
Yeah.
because every time, like, oh, I'll see you again before I go. Because I think as third culture kids, you know that you're going to see each other again because that's the way life goes. If you don't see them here, you'll see them there. And the chances of running into each other are higher. You know, you visit your home country again. So it just kind of became a thing of, I don't say goodbye.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like that worked well for me.
Mhm.
I don't know how it was for the other party, but for me, it just kind of like felt chill.
Yeah, it wasn't as confrontational.
Yeah, not as big, maybe.
Yeah. So it was almost like it wasn't real, maybe.
Deny.
Yeah. Just a permanent stage of denial. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What did you notice in yourself, or how did you go about it?
I don't think I actively went about it the way that I did. I think maybe like you or maybe like other people, it just kind of eventually crept in. It became this weird habit that I created.
It wasn't like a choice that you made, it just kind of
No.
went
No,
the way
because
it
then I
did.
would be ice cold, I think. But for me, I remember also kind of like you, the first like 6, 7 years, it was something that you were really processing. I remember crying at the airport, all of those things, leaving people behind, begging mom and dad to go back for a visit, so we could
Yeah.
see our friends again, but also very easily readjusting to the new place that we moved, and making new friends and not struggling anymore once we were there. And that kind of developed into, I suppose, out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
which sounds really harsh, but it just became this thing. If I don't see you, it's okay. So like, say like we were like really good friends in high school, and we both moved to different countries. I wouldn't be sitting there every day like, oh, I really miss Tessa.
Yeah. Oh, geez. I'm so
Yeah,
offended.
sorry, bro. But um what it would be more like is I just live my life, and then if you were to like message me like, "Hey, I'm stopping by this in that country. Will you be there? Let's meet up." I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely." And then when
Yeah.
we hang out, it's like nothing ever happened, and that you can kind of pick up where you left off. And then after that, it's just,
Gone
well,
again.
you're not there anymore. So,
And it's not,
yeah.
I think, something negative. It's not like you
Mm.
were done with the person or you had any hard feelings towards them.
No, it was never about a falling out. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that was so weird. Like, I became nostalgic. I could for a very long time, still sit with the thoughts of people that I missed and want to go back,
Yeah.
and basically just really bad nostalgia. And I always thought it was so strange how you could just move on.
Yeah?
And you were like, when we moved to the Netherlands, I think for a very long time, I still held on to a lot of friendships I had in Singapore.
Yeah, but I mean, the difference is we lived there for 10 years
Yeah.
compared to like
All the
move.
other places.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really, I guess, deep rooted friendships for you. But sorry, you were saying?
No, 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 it's fine. Um, I just found it so strange how you seem to. We moved here, and you just, in my perspective, you just let Singapore go. You
Mhm.
were here, and that was that. And in my head, I just couldn't wrap it around that because how could you leave Singapore after everything we'd been through there, living there so long, and just move on to the next place as if it was one of those places we only lived for a year?
Mhm.
Um,
Stone cold.
so that's why I'm curious, like, what was going on in your head at that moment? Because I know that you love Singapore. I know you care about Singapore.
I miss Singapore a lot. Yeah. For context, it's a place that we lived for 10 years in comparison to all the other countries we lived was like 6 to 12 months on average. So
Sometimes
spending,
even 3.
yeah, developmental 10 years in one country really made it feel like home. And I guess when we moved over here, or we were about to move over here, I was done and bored with Singapore,
Hmm.
which looking back now, I'm
So
like,
many regrets.
why? Literally, why? Like, I could smack myself over the head because life back then, it was, I mean, there were struggles, obviously. I mean, we talk about the struggles, about bullying, self image problems, all of that. But as a whole, um, it was a it was a beautiful time,
Yeah.
and we made so many good memories, and we had so many good opportunities, and
You don't realize that in the moment until
no.
afterwards.
And that's where the thing of I wish, what was it? I wish I knew it was the good old days when
I
it
was
was
in the
the,
good old
yeah,
days,
like
yeah.
that. Um that's something I really attached to our time in Singapore.
Yeah.
Um yeah, that one's hard because yeah, I was bored, I was over it, I was ready to move on with life. So when I came here, also, I thought when we move here, it's just another move. We've
Yeah.
done this so many times.
We're
It's no big deal.
pros.
We're pros, exactly. It's not going to shake me. But looking back to like our first year here, it shook me to my core. And I
Yeah.
think I grossly underestimated that. Um, it was nothing like I would have imagined. And I think kind of maybe not even pretending that that didn't happen because I mean, I spoke like really Englishified Dutch. We were constantly talking about traveling and going back to Singapore. We went back a few times that year for different reasons. Um, still very much in the headspace of what it was like as an active TCK.
Yeah.
Um,
Not realizing that you're not. I mean, you always stay a third culture kid, but you're not international anymore.
yeah, but I so badly wanted to.
Hold on to that.
Well, on the one hand, yeah, but on the other hand, detach from who and what I was back in Singapore. I really wanted to become my own person. Shout out to the whole clump situation that we talked about earlier. Um, I was really ready to grow up, become an adult, figure out what my life was like outside of this very protective bubble that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And so that was my new hyper focus. So I was just really fixated on this is my life now and I need to do everything I can to fit in. I remember at one point we had lived there for 7 months and I was crying in bed and talking to my partner like um I don't get it. I've lived here already for 7 months. I don't get why I can't get along with the language and the culture and all of this stuff that was just not going my way, and the difficulties in school, with the language barrier and things like that. I was so frustrated, and he was like, "You've only lived here 7 months,"
Yeah.
and that was mind blowing.
We never needed 7 months before that.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually it was like 1 month, maybe 2 months.
And then you're settled, you
When
go on
school
with life.
started, it was always like, just keep going like nothing ever happened. And now I was like deep into this first year here and just feeling so lost and uprooted and
Yeah.
out of my mind, really. Way in over my head. Yeah. So I guess bringing it back to goodbyes, I never really took the time to think about and appreciate the gravity of what we would be doing by moving back to our home country, closing not even just a chapter, but just the whole book of what was our life,
Yeah.
and having to completely figure out what we were going to do now and how we were going to live and who I was going to be.
And all of a sudden, you have to figure it out more on your own.
Yep.
Up until our move to the Netherlands, we lived with obviously our parents. They decided where we were going to live, what our life was going to be like. Um, they even helped form our decision to move to the Netherlands for school. And now all of a sudden, you're in the Netherlands. Your parents aren't there. We weren't really on speaking terms.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a family here, and we're really, really thankful to that family for everything they did for us. But this is not something they could help with.
It's something that I think, especially the like our aunt and uncle who graciously took us in every Sunday and fed us and watched movies with us.
And not just every Sunday.
Yeah.
It was so many days of the week.
They wanted to understand and they tried to understand, and to some level you could explain what you were feeling and this kind of cultural identity crisis you were now going through, but like that last like 20% you couldn't convey properly.
And I think the nice thing is there's just always space there.
Yeah.
It was okay that they didn't understand everything, because we could just be who we were. And I think that's why anytime we would hang out with other third culture kids, it was like coming up for air after you drowned.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I remember this one weekend in October, we had two of our friends come over, and my goodness, I hadn't felt alive up until that point. That
Yeah.
was such a breather for me. Um, and I always loved about them, we never said goodbye to them either, because
Hmm.
we lived in Penang at the same time when I was like 2 or 3 years old. We lived in Dubai at the same time.
Philippines as well, but we didn't experience that consciously.
No, I was one.
Yeah.
In Dubai when I was like 5, 6, 7, and then again in the Netherlands. They just got, where we were coming from. You don't have to explain things. You hang out and
You get it.
yeah,
You switch between Dutch and English, no problem.
constantly.
It's just this natural thing. You can be like, oh, back in Dubai, we went and did that. And they're like, oh, yeah, that was so much fun. Or,
You don't have to context everything.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That I always kind of think about this story this other TCK kid that we met up with told us, being like, growing up this way is so weird because, you'd be like telling your friends who didn't live this life, like, oh my gosh, I woke up and there was like a lion in my backyard. And they'll just look at you like, what?
I had a pigeon in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, the neighbor's cat crawls over the fence all the time. Are you lying? Like
Just
things
can't
like
relate.
that. You can't context or relate those things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what costs so much energy, especially that first year here. You're constantly filtering everything you want to say so that the people around you, so you can relate to them, because your worlds are so different.
Your living experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't just talk as if they get it because they didn't live that way. So it costs so much more energy and effort to
Yeah.
really connect with people.
Yeah. I remember being really frustrated at that point as well because, I think we talked about this earlier, but we lived in Singapore, which is like this hub in Asia. And here in Holland, for example, it's really common to, in your summer vacation, go to France or go to Italy or Spain or things like that. And I remember always thinking, wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
I would love to go to Italy. That seems so cool. And we went to the Colosseum. I actually had this really big geek out moment. But us, on the other hand, we would take a weekend trip to Bali, and everybody
Which was closer, like easier to do than go to France.
Yeah.
From the Netherlands.
For sure. But I remember everybody thinking, like, oh, you're so
God.
spoiled and you guys must be rich or this or that. And
So
I was
many
like,
assumptions.
well, assumptions, yeah, those were the death of me, to be honest. But you get to go to Italy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? I just go to Bali. You go to Italy. Like, are you what do you mean I'm spoiled?
Yeah. Your reference is so different.
The reference is so different, and you couldn't really, as much as I tried to explain that to other people what that connection was, I seemed to always fail in that endeavor because I never really was able to properly help people understand what our way of thinking was in that.
Yeah. Do you think that, having said all of this, the person you are now, I'm kind of filling it in for you, but did you naturally grow this way, or did you actively start hiding parts of yourself to fit in here?
That's a good question.
Or is there another option maybe that I'm not mentioning?
Sorry, like one more time. Did I naturally grow this way, or did I hide parts of myself?
Yeah, like did you just develop into the person you are now? Or did you actively think, okay, like I need to filter these aspects of myself to be able to fit in, like the kind of need for survival?
Yeah. 100%. It started with filtering. I remember after my first year here, school was a big fail, a big flop. So I dropped out and then signed up for a different program.
After having a burnout of like 4 months.
Yeah, that was rough. I actively decided that when I start in that new school, I won't tell them anything about my life, where I came from. If someone was asking, oh, like, where do you live? Those like standard first day of school introductory things that you need to do, like, oh, I'm Shauna, I am 28, I like dogs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'll always like ask, like, oh, from what city are you? So I would just always say, I'm Shauna, I'm 20, whatever, I'm from Amersfoort. Um, and I did my absolute best to just always speak Dutch. And if I wanted to speak English, I tried to kind of keep it inside my head. So I was actively trying to hide that part because I was like, well, people don't like that part of me. People
Yeah.
don't understand that part of me. It's behind me. I need to say goodbye to it and just focus
Say
on
goodbye.
Shauna from Holland. And I remember during the time I made a few friends and we were getting closer. And this one girl, which I still love, she's great, came up to me. She was like, why do you say like? And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you say like all the time. I was like, no, I don't. She's like, yeah, I do. Are you English? I was like, oh, crap. My cover is blown. So then, very slowly, I started to let people back into that part of me, which, looking back, I should have just done from the get go, but I was really,
I mean, you
yeah,
got really burned with your first year here in the Netherlands at school. Um, I mean, you landed in a bad group in the class that you were
yeah,
in, and they gave you reasons to want to hide this part of yourself.
yeah. They saw my international background and having just moved to Holland from like wherever as a burden and a liability. So I was kind of like, oh, I need to keep that part away from the rest of the
Yeah.
people. But this was such genuine curiosity that I kind of felt safe enough to start opening up again. And I feel like that kind of gradually went into a combination of trying to hide it, but also just kind of growing into more who I am now and who I am from here. Um, Now I don't know what the deal is right now, but I remember just actively thinking that part needs to be locked away. People can't know about that because they'll just judge me or whatever.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
I think
To
I
answer your own question.
I think I identified with my international background. Like it was a really big part of my identity when I moved here.
Mm,
And I really struggled with the language. I remember right before school started, we had this kind of like introduction day, and we split up into these little groups, and I had to answer a question, and I did not know the Dutch words for it, and I felt
mm,
so on the spot. I ended up saying it in English, and I just felt so kind of ashamed because I didn't want people to think I was just trying to act cool,
yeah,
and I hated that I couldn't just speak freaking Dutch.
yeah,
Um, and of course, as we mentioned in previous episodes, my start here in the Netherlands was really weird.
mm-hmm,
Um, but I leaned into the whole international thing in the first year, and I landed in a really, really, really great project group, and they just completely accepted it, and they would help me learn Dutch. And it was funny because I also said like in every sentence, and I had this one friend who would just she would do the translation of like to Dutch, which is way longer. It's vind ik leuk. So every time I would say like, she'd be like vind ik leuk, just to make me aware of the fact that I
mm,
was saying like and how ridiculous it actually sounded. Um, but I do think it's always like a little bit exhausting, and it feels like I'm showing off, telling people I'm not from here.
yeah,
So most of the time, I will tell people that I'm from the Netherlands, like just the city that I'm living in
yeah,
now. And only when I get to know them better, I'll be like, oh, I grew up abroad. Because if you're, for example, you're in a staff meeting and you're introducing yourself because you just started working there, they'll ask you, like, oh, tell a little bit about yourself. And you'll be like, oh, I'm Tessa. How old am I? 26. I'm married. I live in Nijkerk. That's it. Because if I say I grew up outside of the Netherlands,
mm.
it's not one country, it's not two, it's a list of 9 different countries.
And
And
they always want the whole story.
yeah, and it feels like it's way too long for that moment, like it's an inappropriate sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably not there, but I just feel like there's always like this kind of judgment or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm showing
Like, oh,
off.
look at you. You think you're all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have to be honest. At my work now, like that's not there.
Mm.
There's no judgment. But I think
Those are the people you need, though.
yeah, but I think I internalized that judgment from when you do feel it, that you're just kind of
Mhm.
afraid that everybody's judging you.
Amen. Yeah.
So I don't talk very much about it.
Mhm.
Only if somebody will like ask me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I feel like it becomes more and more in the background identity
Yeah, and we've
instead
been
of
here for 8 years, so it's not
yeah.
that what do you call it? On the front lines anymore
Yeah.
because it's so long ago.
Yeah. When was the moment for you that you're like,
I'm Dutch.
"Oh shit. I am no longer Tessa from over there. I am now Tessa from the Netherlands." When did that dawn on you? Not just what you would say in like work meetings, but that you genuinely felt it.
Um, I think I didn't realize it for a long time because I remember you mentioning that a couple years ago that you struggled with that, and then I realized like, oh crap, that's reality now. I never even thought about that
Yeah.
because I still part of me really hung on to that international life, and I wanted to go back. Um, oh gosh, I think so. For my minor in my last year of school, I excuse me, went to an international course, and I completely like felt at home there, and I still felt like I'm an international person. And then COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
and I think once COVID hit, everything just changed in the world. Even though we're kind of back to normal now, but we're not,
Yeah, there something just still isn't
shifted,
quite the same.
And after COVID, I finished my schooling, got a job. I think around that period, because mom and dad were here. Um, Dad had gotten a couple offers to go back living internationally, and every single time, the first thought in my head would be like, "Oh, but I don't want to move yet," or "Oh,
Mm.
I want to move," and then realize, "But they're not taking me because I'm an adult. I have my own life.
Yeah. It's
I'm
no
no
longer a
longer
given that you have to
exactly."
come.
Because I remember one time I came home and mom and dad were drinking champagne, and I looked at them and I'm like, "You're moving,"
Yeah.
and they laughed. They're like, "Yeah." And they were going to go to Australia, and I was like, "Oh, sick! We're moving to Australia." And a few minutes later, I thought like, "There's no we in this.
Yeah.
It's you two, and I'm here alone." Then, which the move didn't end up happening. But I think little moments like that, it wasn't like one big hit for me.
Mm.
It was just slowly, and especially now that I've bought a house, I have a child, I'm married. All of those things just kind of confirm that my international life is getting farther away.
Yeah.
And sometimes I hate that, and at the same time, I love what we've built up here.
Mm-hmm.
I have good friends. I mean, I have you guys around. Good friends, you guys. No. I wouldn't want to give that up so quickly because I noticed just with my maternity leave, I was at work. I go on maternity leave for 5 months,
Yeah.
and you kind of like everybody freezes in your head how you left them. And I came back to work and I realized everybody's lives went on, and I was not a part of that. And it's really a little bit difficult trying to weave yourself back into that team
Yeah.
and build rapport again with your colleagues. And I feel like it would be so much worse, that feeling, if I were to move internationally again.
Well, especially to a place that we once lived and loved.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to lose what I have here because, okay, it's actually FOMO. If I come back to the Netherlands, all my friends will have moved on.
Yeah.
That feeling, I want the best of both worlds. I want to live internationally, but I don't want to give up what I have here.
Yeah, I feel like that's like an eternal struggle.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
What was that?
Are you talking to me in Morse code?
Help.
Okay, yeah.
So what about? Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
That's okay.
I'm wondering what moment that you had. Okay, wait, rewind that. Okay. I'm wondering when that happened for you. When you realized, like, hey, I'm Dutch. I'm not international anymore.
For me, that was very specifically around the 5-year mark.
Mm.
And I remember that so clearly because it was actually, when was that? 2022? Yeah.
My lord.
2022. And I remember because for my life here, looking back, I feel like that was my best year so far. I just remember really breaking out of my shell and being happy and trying new things. So that was the really good part. But at the same time, for some reason, I just had this nagging thing of, like you've been here 5 years now, Shauna from Singapore is continuously taking steps back
Yeah.
in my mind, in my identity, in my way of thinking and doing and being, that all of a sudden it just hit me like a ton of bricks that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm Shauna from Holland. I don't know what that is.
Amersfoort of all places.
Irish of all places, yes. But I was like, okay, now what? Um, am I supposed to be doing something different?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to like feel different? I don't know, but I knew that moving around all those years and traveling and experiencing all these different things was no longer the forefront of my identity, and that
Yeah.
just really messed with my head because now I just had to figure out, and I'm still honestly trying to figure that out, how I deal with stability.
Always looking for
Oh yeah,
the
exactly.
next,
Always looking
yeah,
for the next thing. Always looking for the hey, we're moving.
that huge bomb that you can drop, that
Yeah,
of excitement and just shocking people.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, and having this thing to look forward to, like, oh,
yeah.
a new adventure, awesome. Kind of fantasizing in my head what it would be like if I had a job where I could move around a lot and travel.
And then you just hear like, "Hey, we have a project in Dubai. Can you go
I
there?"
would love to go. Like, honestly, if I didn't have my life built up here the way I do, I'd be gone, to be real. Which is
Yeah.
so funny because when we first moved here that first year, we were so different in how we viewed moving and living abroad.
I mean, I think it was a 180 twist for both of us.
Yeah,
I was basically like, I had my suitcase packed to go again,
yeah.
and you
You hated
were,
it here.
yeah, and you were like, "Oh yeah, no, I live in the Netherlands now. I'm gonna be Dutch. I want to see the cows." You know.
I'm done moving around.
Yeah, and I think once I got into my relationship with my husband, I started to settle more hair. And the funny thing is, you seem to start having more of an itch to go back international. And
Yeah,
I mean, I would still love to go, but I just don't really see how right now.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, to be honest, I get jammed up there as well because, like, how would I even go about doing that? I don't know. I think I would be scared shitless if I actually went.
because now you're the adult. You
Yeah,
know, when we were kids, our parents arrange everything for
yeah.
us. And now you're the adult. You have to figure out where you're going to go, where you're going to stay. You're going to have to make friends. You're not just going to school where you make friends automatically. And
Should probably have some money and a job.
I mean, that would help,
Yeah,
you know? And to be honest, we both don't have jobs that would
yeah.
support you moving outside the Netherlands. But do you think that your like life as a third culture kid and now also still wanting something to be international, how has that shaped your job choices?
Uh,
Or has it maybe not?
well, actually, I work at the psychologist's office now, and I do feel like maybe it didn't make my choice, but it really helps me in my work. Is my contact with clients, and I feel like I can always relate to anyone on some level, um, and being able to adapt and communicate and analyze different needs people might have dependent on their cultures, how they grew up, or the situation they're in. I feel like that has really helped considering how we grew up,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
You have
I feel
different
like I can
skills.
talk with like literally anyone.
Social skills are
Yeah.
through the roof.
If I feel like it, or if I'm being paid to do it, like at work. But I mean, it does come out of a wish to connect with people. And yeah, I think that is something that shaped me, maybe not in how I made my choice of work, but in how I can be better in my work.
Yeah.
How about you?
It always ate at me that I chose to do social work because I knew that that was not going to be something that I would be able to do outside of the Netherlands.
Mm,
Because the specific work that I do is tied to the legal side as well. And you need to know the legal side to be able to do this work. And that's just not the case for another country that I would know all of that.
different countries
Um,
tend to have different laws.
well, yeah, and that it's just, oh, there's so many to know. Um, And this work is really, really, really important to also take into context culture. So I don't feel like I could just up and do this job somewhere else. And I remember in my first year studying, I watched a video, like they make you watch these videos of social workers doing stuff. Like they'll make a reality TV show kind of thing. Um, and this is going to sound so dumb, but it was a shot filmed of the ground and there's a pigeon walking by and then of the street that I thought, this is Netherlands. I don't want Dutch social work. I do not want, this is not what I had in mind. And I hated it so much. But then I didn't really have other options, so I just finished the study. I didn't hate the study so much. I just hated that it was all Dutch and not Singapore anymore.
Maybe even feeling a little trapped because of that.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like I had other options. But just purely one of the reasons we're starting this podcast is to hold on to that international life and hopefully one day be able to go back to it. Um, you know, if you love your work, you never work a day in your life. And I would love if this could become something like that. So I think I've always had an itch to do more than social work. I don't think I'll do that for, long term. But it needs to be feasible, is that the word? To actually do other projects.
Yeah. So I'm feeling, because as usual, we have managed to
Sidetrack completely again.
sidetrack to all different directions of the compass.
But
Which is how we are, really.
Yeah, and I do feel like we covered kind of like we have a tough time with goodbyes, but we also had to say goodbye to our identities, who we were when we were
Damn, yeah.
when
Yeah.
from going to Singapore to the Netherlands.
For sure.
We're completely different people. And I know for sure if you and I go to Singapore right now, we will not be the same people we are sitting in this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Because part of you just comes back that was alive when you were there.
I definitely noticed that. Yeah. Just speaking English like this and reflecting on all the memories and the experiences and all the weird shit we had. For sure. It brings me back to that time.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you though.
Oh gosh.
So before you go ahead and outro us.
Yeah.
What was then, if you could give it one, number one, the hardest goodbye for you and why? And try to do it in a sentence.
Okay, the hardest goodbye was when we moved from Singapore to the Netherlands. My ex brought me to the airport and I was moving to the Netherlands, he was moving to America, and we had plans to see each other again, but it felt like impending doom. It felt like I knew I was not going to see him again. And looking back, I'm very happy I never saw him again. But in that moment, like I described earlier, I'm sorry, this is not one sentence, but
That's okay. One paragraph works as well.
I always felt like my feelings were too big for the situation.
Yeah.
And that was especially the case here. I cried the whole flight home. Yeah.
That would do it. Yeah.
What about you?
Mine isn't even that recent. I remember for me, my hardest goodbye that I actually vividly remember going through and feeling was when we left Dubai, and I had to say goodbye to my very first ever best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember this weird flashback memory that I have. We got into a fight not too long before I left.
No, that's
and
so
then
sad.
we one of her parents came to pick her up, and we were just bawling our eyes out, and I remember her waving goodbye from the car window, just crying. And
Because of the fight or because you were leaving?
well, I asked mom, I couldn't make sense of this. We were best friends. Why did we have such a big fight and all of
Yeah.
that? And she's like, because she's really sad that you're leaving. And me also being angry and then actually realizing, oh, I'm just really sad to be leaving her behind. Yeah. That one was, I think, really hard. I think also because I was still young enough to really feel that and not, try to push that feeling away.
Yeah.
I think about that quite often, actually. Because that's the first friendship that I had that lasted, well, first of all, longer than a year, but she really was my very first best friend.
It was impactful.
Yeah.
That moment. I feel like, do you know that C.S. Lewis quote of, I sat with my hate so long until I realized it was, no, I sat with my pain so long until I realized it was, never mind, I need to cut this out. There's a really cool C.S. Lewis quote, but I can't think of it. Never mind. But no, that was really impactful having to say goodbye like that. Um,
Yep,
I
it's
think
like
maybe,
stuck in my mind, her
yeah,
waving from the car
like the first
window.
time you really experienced,
The pain of saying goodbye.
yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh,
Yeah. Do you
that's so
want to
sad.
go ahead and give a little outro and what we will be covering next
What are we
week?
covering next week? So, thank you guys so much for listening again to another episode of Culture Shock Therapy. We enjoyed having you here, and we're really curious if you guys have stories about saying goodbye or you have life hacks, how to deal with goodbyes.
More healthy ways than we've dealt with in the past, to be honest.
Please do share them. We'd love to hear them. We might like to actually incorporate them in our lives. Next time, we're going to be talking about basically the stability, moving around a bunch, what that did with our relationships, our self-esteem,
Our ability to attach.
yeah. So it kind of dives a little bit in on what we talked about today. And like us, it's going to sidetrack again. So, stay tuned for another,
Which just means it's going to be a lot of fun.
exactly,
A lot of chaos.
another chaotic, messy episode of Culture Shock Therapy. We're looking forward to seeing you again.
Thanks so much for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.